Welcome to the No Bull Political Arena with your hosts, Sophia Nelson, Bill O'Reilly, Brian Mistro, and TJ McCormick. It's real voices, raw politics, and no bullshit. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the No Bull Political Arena. This is Brian Mistro. I'm here again with Bill O'Reilly and TJ McCormick. And today marks our first full week of starting the political arena. And so, with that in mind, I want to do something a little bit different. I'm going to bounce it over to Bill, and I want to give our audience a chance to get to know who we are a little bit. We did me last night, and Bill has known TJ for a number of years. And I think it'd be nice if the audience got a chance to understand and get a feel for TJ and why we all give him so much grief. So I'll pass it over to you, Bill. Please take over and let's find out a little bit about TJ because I'd like to know myself.
And hello, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in. And also, while we have you, our prayers and good wishes to the other Bill O'Reilly, who's got who's pulled off his podcast because he has a malady which sounded like maybe significant.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, just broke this afternoon, so we wish him the best. Now, TJ, you were one of the most interesting guys I ever met. Hit us with your life. You have done so many different things. You're a WABC radio host. You got the #1 weekend show in America. You've done Vegas shows as a comedian. You've done cruise ships. You've done New York. I mean, like you've done a ton of stuff. Hit us with it. What are you about? Well, and you got a beautiful wife. How'd you pull that off?
Well, the wife started off as a well thought out purchase. She was a catalog wife. My wife is from Ukraine, and back in the 90s version of that, which really was an aspirational thing where you're trying to find a home for a good woman. No, not like today where it's human trafficking. Back then, women readily submitted themselves to be featured in a who's who. It's like a who's who. Shut up, Bill. It's like a who's who of Anyway, no. I graduated high school in the 80s, and back then comedy was rock and roll, and it was everywhere, and it was all I wanted to do since I was about 7 or 8 years old. I wanted my life to be about funny. And all I knew was funny. I wanted to be funny. And by the time Saturday Night Live came around and I saw George Carlin host the first Saturday Night Live, I was about 7 years old, I think. And I didn't know what was going on. All I knew is I saw a guy talking and the people laughing. There was no pie throwing. There was no bowler hats and Laurel and Hardy stuff. There was no Marx Brothers. It was a guy talking and people laughing. That was different from all the other funny and in the movies. And I said, that's just it. And then it went from him to Steve Martin. Steve Martin, lights out. I'm done. That's what I've got to do. And so in the 80s, I graduated high school. Started doing stand-up in 2 weeks after I graduated high school. I was 18 years old, and I was doing stand-up in nightclubs, not even comedy clubs, nightclubs. And I was awful. I was terrible. I was not funny. It was fart jokes and immature jokes and making fun of whatever. And just plugged away, and I sucked less and less and less, and I came up with an incredible generation of comics, and I ended up through persistence and an absolute fearless bravado, convinced that I was the best out there. I started picking up work here and there, started making money doing it, and I picked up a college tour, and I found myself all around the country, and that started to more commercial type of comedy, and I ended up working cruise ships, and I ended up in Las Vegas and those sorts of things. And nightclubs literally all around every state except Hawaii. I've done stand up in every state except Hawaii. And I'm on a cruise ship at one point. That's where I met my wife. My wife is from Liverpool, Andy. She's from the UK. She's a stunning British dancer. And in classic showbiz form, the goofy little monkey got himself the glamorous, leggy, busty blonde, and she's fantastic. And all of those things, by the way, emphasis on the busty, and because the legs will always, the legs speak for themselves. Anyway, she's magnificent. She's bodacious and
She's
fierce and
amazing.
fantastic, and so anyway, yeah. So had a great career, about 20 years doing stand-up acting, comedy writing. Had a couple of deals out in Los Angeles. I was the flavor of the month for a while, and and my wife's a recording artist. She had a top 40 hit. She was in a pop group, a girl group back in those days with girl groups and the
Wow.
Spice Girls and this and that. She had a recording
She
contract,
was
and
I five, right? The International Five was it
it
called?
was called I-5. The
Yeah.
letter I-5 for International Five, and people can look them up. They can look up I-5 Girl Group. That's the way it pops up on Google. And yeah, and it was quite really good. They had a TV deal. They had a whole crazy thing going on. And and then at one point in the middle of all that, I got sober. That's a big part of my story is I'm sober now for 20 years. So I'm sober as long as
Congratulations.
thank you very much. Thank you. It was either that or
Congratulations.
dying. Thank you. Either that or dying. And she and Andrea had a lot to do with that. And she kicked me out of the house. And so it just that's
That'll do
where
it.
everything went from there. Yep, that'll do it. Uh, Anyway, it was I'll try to make this less self-aggrandizing and more concise. I just basically the higher up I went in show business, the worse it was for me. There's some terrible people in Hollywood, some awful, awful
Mhm.
human beings, and it got worse and worse and worse. And I just didn't like
In
doing
what
what
way?
I was doing. The people, they would sell their mother to close a deal. They would throw their child off a moving bus to close a deal. Honestly, I was sold out at one point. To the extent that somebody who's not particularly famous can be blacklisted, I was blacklisted because it got out that I supported conservative
Right.
causes and
Hmm.
politicians.
You
And
were part of the group, right, of conservatives in Hollywood, right? It's kind of an underground group.
yes, there's an underground group that still exists, and they're more out now. But yes, I
What's
was part of it.
there's a Lincoln. It's a Lincoln something.
Uh,
Lincoln.
it's like that. They still don't say it publicly.
I
But
get.
yes, it is an homage to President Lincoln is the name of the group and sort of a password. But it was Andrew Breitbart started this group and rest his soul. And Andrew Breitbart started this group. There's a place in Hollywood in West Hollywood called Barney's Beanery is a restaurant, a bar, and nightclub. And we would have regular gatherings there. And it was Andrew and Greg Gutfeld was part of that crew and a bunch of other. Gary Sinise is quite out about his conservatism, clearly,
Hmm.
and his leaning. Gary Sinise was there. Tom Selleck, a good number
Oh, great. Yep.
of people, and we even had a big gathering one time at the Murdoch Ranch at Rupert Murdoch's place about 20 years ago. It was crazy. Anyway, it was from there I started doing some internet radio. I started doing I became sort of the go-to conservative for commentary in LA at the time. And they would come to my house if something it was during the Tea Party time. It was the
Hmm.
beginning of the Obama era. And I was kind of a big mouth in LA, a go-to talker, and that translated into some Fox and CNN and MSNBC, RT. I was an agent for the Russian government at one point, I guess. Um, Al Jazeera. I did all of them,
Yep.
and then eventually moved back here to New York. Had our first child, came back to New York, started doing local radio. I was a morning man here, and and that turned into a relationship with a local politician running for office, and that's where I met William right here. I met William as
We met
he.
on a set. On a set. Yeah.
Yeah, we met on a set of a local political chat show, and we joined. Actually, we really actually joined forces one time. Remember that time in the park? They wanted to kick us out of a park, and
Oh,
Bill.
there's a story. There's a story.
Yeah, we wanted to do a
Okay.
press conference in a park. Bill was doing a press conference in a park with his client, his candidate, who I was gunning for, and I was helping out uh, as the local morning guy. I was a sympathetic, and And Bill was like, they don't want us to do it. What was it? They want to kick us out. You can't. Like, we should just protest right here, right now. We should make signs. And I'm like, okay, okay, yeah, let's make signs. Whatever it was. And he was
We
like,
turned it into a big deal. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Bill's like,
Basically, Brian, there's an historic park in New Rochelle, New York that is historic. It's got deep African American roots. I forgot the stories for why, but it's a very important park for that community.
yeah,
And we pulled in, and it was a press conference for county executive, which is about 1 million people. It's a big role here in
Mm,
New York. And the challenger was from New Rochelle, and so he was the mayor and was in charge of the park. So we
that's
went
it.
in knowing they were going to throw us out, and then and with us was like 58 people from NAACP,
Yeah,
the local chapter. And
yeah,
so he
oh,
ended up pissing off the black community and he lost their
yeah.
vote.
He hates blacks. He hates blacks. It was just like, for
He was
anyone
a
that would
blunder.
listen.
What a blunder. Yeah. But go
It
ahead,
was
TJ. I'm sorry.
oh,
anyway, so that turned into a relationship with that guy, and I ended up working on his. He ran for governor. His name is Rob Astorino. He's a great
Newsmax
Republican.
host. Yep.
And a
Newsmax host.
Newsmax host currently on Newsmax on Saturdays, and that turned into a role on his governor's campaign, kind of going around and lighting fires. We had like a $7 budget on that campaign, and uh, we kind of made it up as we went along. I was sort
We
of
got
like,
40% of the vote. For,
yep,
wow.
Cuomo's numbers were 72% favorable rating when we started. He had just gotten in. It was his first term, and we ended up with 40. It was not bad with
Wow.
very little
I,
money. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's where I started to understand what the political communications there. I got to work under Bill. It was his communications team that did that campaign, and we had fun because I was sort of in charge of the anarchy. We would go out and create silly videos for digital. We were one of the first campaigns to really, go all in on digital because nobody would give us money to go up on TV.
So
And so we
what year would this be about?
2014.
2014.
Yep, yep,
2014. Okay.
yep, yep.
And we were good, man. We were good. Because, it's kind of like well, I'm not comparing. Well, maybe one could, but Andrew Cuomo, Mel Brooks made a career out of, he figured the best way he could get back at a big bad bully, evil human like Adolf Hitler was to make fun of him. And he made
Mm.
it, we drew blood on a daily basis, making fun of that thug, Andrew Cuomo.
But I got to
And
say, he didn't crack. I was waiting for him to blow.
he
He's very
never
disciplined,
did crack,
very
but
sharp guy. Yep.
we got mileage though. But like you said though, Bill, his approvals eventually suffered, and we got across a lot of serious points by making fun of him, and we would shift
Exactly.
gears, and that was just my little contribution. Anyway, I ended up doing more political communications, and I left show business pretty much completely by that point. Started working as a speechwriter and other things, and eventually the last Republican that I was working for got voted out of office. The Cardinal of New York came calling. I ended up working for the Archdiocese of New York. I was director of communications for Catholic schools for about 6 years. And I quit there 2 years ago. And a year ago ish, I threw my hat in the ring to try to take over. A fella left his radio slot at 77 WABC, the legacy number one biggest baddest talk station in the United States. We invented it, and I got the gig. I produced a demo and I got the gig, and so I've been there since mid-March of last year, coming up on a year. Crazy.
Wow.
And so yeah,
Wow.
so I'm on weekends. I'm on Saturday and Sunday overnights, now nationally syndicated, and yeah, we're pulling the biggest audience nationally in that time slot, and it's a unique, cool uh, demographic that I talk to: alcoholics and truck drivers.
Very
But
cool.
yeah, it's politics and
No, they're
alcoholics
great.
and truck drivers. No,
It's
really,
and you know what though? Actually, it's people who
a lot of them.
well, it's a lot of people, and their minds are going. I always say it's a great time of day or night to bring up unique subjects, and or even kind of trite subjects, because you tend to get a different perspective on it when the house is quiet, when you're laying there in bed, when you're either trying to fall asleep or just waking up or padding about the house, or you're sad, or you can't sleep, you're contemplative. I think our minds are more open,
Hmm.
And I think we're more willing to accept even crazy concepts or people. I think people on the in one side of the spectrum or the other are maybe willing to listen to the other. So it's a great time of day to be talking to people. I love the
TJ,
intimacy.
how can people listen to you? I mean, what time does it come on? How can our
Um,
audience listen to you?
I am on it's well basically probably the easiest way is seven is wabcradio.com. That's where there's a listen live there 24/7. I'm on Spotify. They podcast all my shows. I'm on Spotify. It's Another Side of Midnight is what it's called. It's Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick. And I look exactly the same even on the radio. And I'm taller on radio. I'm taller on radio. But anyway, yeah. So there, I'm on Spotify, WABC, and around the country. And I'm on in Los Angeles, Chicago, St.
And
Louis,
what time does it come on?
Dallas. 2 a.m. Eastern.
2 a.m. Eastern. Okay.
2 a.m. Eastern. And
So 11
yeah.
o'clock my time, 2 a.m. your
11 your
Yes.
time.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He'll be on
Yep. Yep.
tonight. He'll be on later
Yep.
today.
Yep. Saturday. Yeah. Saturday night. I mean, sorry. Saturday morning, Sunday morning. So late Friday, late Saturday.
Good. Oh, that is so cool.
There
Wow.
you go.
You
So
got to call
anyway,
in. He'll put you on.
what's that?
What?
You got to call in. He'll put you on.
Yeah, I'll put anybody on at 2 a.m. Are you kidding? Jesus Christ. Who am I kidding? I have the biggest audience. It's like 17 people. It's too freaking what? Everybody's asleep.
The other
I'm
guys might be
literally
listening.
talking to
You're
myself.
number one. No,
Yeah, I'm the one.
it's a great network.
It really is amazing.
By the way, WABC Radio was bought by a gentleman named John Katzmatidis in New York, who was a legend in New York, really a wonderful New Yorker. He was behind Grostiti supermarkets and gas station chains. He's done very well for himself. One of
Yeah.
the great philanthropists of New York,
Yes.
and he has built WABC Radio back
He
into a
saved
powerhouse.
he
Saved it.
saved WABC, which is
I grew
arguably
up
the
listening to it.
most yep, so did I. So
It's a
did
rock
I.
station. Yeah.
And he saw this thing and he came in, picked it up, negotiated to be able to keep the WABC call letters, and just built it as a fellow named Chad Lopez, who was a radio genius that he hired to oversee the whole thing. And Chad, working with Mr. Katz and Margot Katz-Matidis, his wife, have saved and in the process, in a lot of ways, saved talk radio across the country. And right now, his one of his pet projects that I totally agree with, I have a Volvo that does not have AM radio in it. Drives me out of my mind. And John Katzimatidis
Love
is
it.
out there driving legislation to ensure to require all auto manufacturers to include AM radio in their cars. Um, for at least the next 10 years, or in perpetuity. I forget the detail of that, but that's crucial. It's crucial. You have to. AM radio has to survive when it comes to national emergencies, when it comes to
Yeah.
talk, political discourse. AM radio has got to survive because it plays differently than FM radio. The technology and
FN's still the new kid on the block. You know what I mean?
it
Remember when they came in? You know?
Yeah.
way new,
Yeah.
especially for talk.
The big deal when FM came out was you'd be driving under a bridge with your parents in the back of a station wagon or something, and you could still hear the radio under the
Right.
bridge.
Right.
That was the
That
big
is
deal. You know?
such a great. That is exactly. Remember that? Yep.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's so
Check
true.
this out. The radio is going to continue as we go through.
And the romance. I see. I love the romance of radio. I love the romance and the intimacy of the relationship. As a stand-up comic, I was out there myself. You're Texas. I remember traversing 35. I remember being on 40, way down. I'd be on I-10, and there was nothing cooler for me than to. And I was always so into the fact of where I was at any given moment. I love driving across Texas. I remember coming. You get through Louisiana. First town you hit was Beaumont, Texas, and I love Beaumont, Texas. Beaumont, Texas. And I mean, I loved it. I love Louisiana. I love that I-10 corridor through Louisiana and lower Texas. It's the longest route across the country. Going through Texas takes about 6 days. You feel like a biblical Jew wandering the desert for 40 years just trying to make it to San Antonio. But anyway, but there was nothing cooler and more nothing cooler than being out there at like 3 in the morning, listening to a rerun of Rush Limbaugh, or listening to a guy named Art Bell who did a show called Coast to Coast AM, or the Truckers Network. The Truckers Radio is on WWL out of New Orleans, Louisiana. It was a trucker channel. They'd play country music, like proper honky tonk country music, and all night for the truckers. And there'd be trucker ads and truck stop ads, and get your whatever, your chili coupon, and and a free shower at Circle K. And
And you went.
and I had sex with truckers. And but that paid
Don't
for the
tell
fuel.
Andy.
That paid for the fuel. Anyway, the so I'm not going to pay for it. They paid me. So anyway, the thing is there was nothing cooler than being in the middle of Texas and hearing like a station in Wichita, Kansas, or hearing,
Yeah.
I remember to me, one of the most foreign sounding places within the United States is like Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Mm.
When you hear like the static clear and you hear, it's going to be 45 degrees in downtown Cheyenne today. And you go, oh my God, I am so in the middle of a massive nation here.
You get the farm radio networks. Yeah. Yep.
No, it was local. It was Cheyenne, Wyoming, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yep.
It's as you felt like it was like another country, especially a kid growing up in the Northeast, and you get out there into the middle of America. So I love radio, love radio.
What an interesting story. So so I'm going to throw out a
Very
question.
long. Holy Christ! Let's move on. Get off.
But I haven't asked you a question. So you're obviously the host, one of the 4 hosts on the No Bull Political Arena. Why are you
Yeah.
why are you doing this? You asked me last night, why am I doing this? How do I see this working? Why are you doing this?
Because I really am tired of the same old. I am so tired of the trite and the cliche. I'm tired of talking points and playing it safe and not speaking from the gut. And that's exactly how this was described to me. And I think the name of it immediately gives the credibility that it deserves. And I think the fact that we're not all exactly singing from the same page ensures the fact that we're all going to be, speaking from the gut and unfiltered. I think it's cool. So yeah, so no, I'm here to be a part of some truth,
Yeah.
some intellectual honesty. I'm all about intellectual honesty. That's
Absolutely.
what it's all about, and that's
Yeah.
the very least I beg of my elected officials.
If I'm going
Yeah.
to be intellectually honest, I got to say that anorak puts you in the Khmer Rouge range a little bit. If that were red,
Let me tell you something. I like shopping more than my wife. The only thing,
it
see,
looks
this
like
is
a
what
kofta. It looks like a.
this is here you go. This is a brand from England called Aquascutum,
Ooh,
which
ooh,
is
ooh, ooh.
shh, Bill. It is no, it does deserve a woo. It's Latin for water shield. That's what aquascutum means. And back in the 50s and 60s, they made trench coats before people were making trench coats. And this is their legacy checker pattern. And
You still look
this
like a revolutionary to me.
baby, let me tell you something. The only thing, it's not that I'm straight. It's not that I'm straight. It's just that I'm not gay.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Does that make
Yeah.
sense? It's like I'm just not gay. How straight I am, that's for anybody to decide on any given day. The fact that I am so excited about this particular check, and when I saw it on the step, when I saw it, okay, here you go. Here's another example of how I'm not gay, but how straight. Okay, here you go. So
I'm
this came in the mail,
should
and I
should I
literally
turn the
skipped.
record off? I don't know if I
I
should turn the
no.
record.
This came in the mail, and I literally skipped to my loo. Okay, and I don't mean my partner Lou in the kitchen. I mean, I literally
Andrea.
skipped up the stairs, so excited that this finally came, because I've been waiting for like a week and a half for it to come from England, right? Because I bought it from a store in the UK. Simultaneously, I'm waiting for gay. All my gay friends would say, "Oh my God, yes, this is gay." I am simultaneously waiting for a variety pack of miniature colognes because I'm trying to decide on a fragrance to wear for the rest of the winter.
Huh? Does Andrea know about this?
No, for s- uh, for a couple of reasons.
TJ's wife.
I don't want her
Oh,
to
I
know.
assumed.
I don't want her to know that I spent money on, I mean, because these are insanely expensive fragrances. And so that's why I'm buying this like sample pack. Even they cost money. And the other thing is too, is I don't want her to know that I'm sitting here with bated breath. I don't want her to know that her man is waiting to test out a fragrance specifically for the rest of the season. I'm trying to, and my day, I was short tempered earlier because I've been following the track, and short tempered is a slightly effeminate term. I was short tempered earlier because I was tracking my package, which sounds really good. No, I was tracking my package and I see that it went in the wrong direction. It was here in my town yesterday. Next thing I see is it's like 30 miles away, and I'm ticked off that now with the storm coming, I'm not
You
going to
chased
get
the
my
truck.
cologne. I would have if I had seen it. I would have taken off my heels, put on my track shoes, and chased that truck. Watch. By the way, here you go. Last thing. Last thing. You ready? Okay. Here's how a man drinks his car. Right. Here you go. Instant, gay or straight. Instant. Ready? Here you go.
Like I thought you're supposed to like when
You,
you drink your coffee and your little pinky finger is supposed to go up a little
oh,
bit like that. Are you
that's
doing that?
just that's
Oh.
fine. If
Gee,
Sinatra
gee.
did that, I got no problem with that. I drink when I would drink three fingers of Jack, it would be like that. But as soon as you put your hand on the other, you're a woman.
Where were we
It's just
going with the show?
I don't know.
Trump, I have eaten up all the goddamn time. I am
But we're so fortunate to have you on, and you're so much fun to
Christ.
watch,
Nothing
and it's
political here.
yeah.
all
Just
right.
edit
So
this. Just edit all my answers. Just
so to our audience now, we actually will talk a little bit of politics for a second, or hopefully more than a second. We'll see here. Yesterday when we were on our show, we talked about Donald Trump had created the quote Board of Peace. Okay. Never mind that it wasn't approved through Congress. We're not even going to go down that rabbit hole. Okay, but it says new Board of Peace. It's reportedly you pay $1 billion and you get set on the board. Well, they released the countries that are a part of this Board of Peace, and you can look at that yourself. We're putting it up here right now. Um,
well, this is why
I,
Hamas broke the ceasefire. They were bored of peace.
I,
That's what they thought this was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
well, so I don't even know who the hell some of these countries are. Azerbaijan. Does anybody know what that is? Is that a country?
Azerbaijan.
That's a
The
fair
only,
country. Yeah, yeah.
That sounds like
the
a
only.
street somewhere in New York or something.
See,
We've got Paraguay. I have
Yeah.
heard of Pakistan. Uzbekistan, is that part of
Yeah.
China or something?
No, huge country. Like
it's in the
wheat and
stands.
natural resources. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really good stuff. We
Yeah,
almost did some
okay.
work for them. Yeah, yeah.
So what's missing is basically everybody out of Europe. Okay, that's any of our allies out of Europe, with the exception of Hungary. You notice China didn't sign on. Apparently, Russia, Putin said he'd sign on, but the what's being reported right now is that he'll sign on if Donald Trump releases $1 billion of the money that we've confiscated because of Ukraine to pay towards his $1 billion towards going towards him sitting on the council. And so Canada obviously was not a part of this. It's, what the hell? This is about being intellectually honest with some of this stuff. And last night I did give Donald Trump some accolades. It was very, very difficult. But what the hell is this about? And then here's something else that I want to point out. So Canada basically tells Donald Trump yesterday he can go F himself because they're not going to pay $1 billion to go sit on this ridiculous council that nobody's ever heard of. And so at 2:30 last night in the morning, Donald Trump sends out one of his famous tweets, and we'll put that up here too, stating that he is now withdrawing the offer for Canada to be a part of the Council of Peace, which they'd already said effectively, no, thank you. So, I go back to what we talked about a couple of days ago with Donald Trump, and I'm going to push it back out to you guys. He consistently does these things, and I don't understand why he does that. Why did he have to send that tweet out to Canada to say that? Because all it's going to do, yeah, it grabs him a lot of headlines, but it's not the headlines that we need to be reading as a country. Okay, there's so many different ways he can handle this stuff instead of doing it once again the way that he does this. And so I'll push it back out to you. Maybe that didn't bother the two of you. And I'm also going to ask you in a second about his NATO comments, TJ. About how, NATO hasn't done anything for us and so forth. We'll move on to that in just one second. But come on, Bill. It's
Billy.
tell me here. Am I out of bounds in saying this is ridiculous?
Well, the way he does it is always crazy. I mean, we've said this a billion times. He stirs the pot. He knows how to make people go crazy and freak out and start yelling and stuff. But more often than not, he tends to get what he wants. I've watched it for 50 years in New York. I mean, he's got a tactic that I think he learned from Cohen and others in New York, Roy Cohen. You never apologize. You never move backwards. You just attack, 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 and it works. So far, it's worked out for him. I got to say, when I first heard Board of Peace, I thought it was kind of a joke, but I do love the idea of doing that for Gaza. I think I would love if it was just doing Gaza. I think that would be a wonderful thing for the world to do, and maybe that could help stabilize the Middle East. But what's going on now is a little bit different. If it were to replace the UN, I'd be all for it. I'm in New York, and we push the UN into the East River. It's a
Hmm.
complete
From
waste
the
of
river
money.
to the sea.
In triplicate, it's the biggest bureaucratic hell in the world. It gets nothing done.
Money pit for New
Yeah,
York.
yep, yep. I mean, I know it's supposedly an honor to have him here, but I think most New Yorkers would kick him into the river.
Really?
Um, but yeah, yeah, it's just it's traffic. It's people. The diplomats drive up on sidewalks. They have immunity. They can do whatever they want. It's a lot. A lot of people feel that way. But Board of Peace, the way he's doing it, I don't love it. I don't love anything about the way Trump does business. But I do like some of the results, and we'll see where this goes.
What do you
You
think,
know,
TJ?
I think it's funny. I was just gonna say, gosh, we're talking about, isn't it funny? And probably the one person in the world who could find himself being criticized for bringing people on board a board of peace. The
Right.
one guy who's going to stand there and say, join me on the board of peace. Get this, everybody. It's a worldwide coalition dedicated to peace. And people are saying, present company included, what a load of crap. What a load of shit. Who does he think he is? This guy. And for people, and by the way, you can't just join our board of peace and take credit for being on the board of peace. You got to have skin in the game. I'm not inviting the poor banana republic nations. I'm inviting
Right.
nations that can afford $1 billion. Canada can dig a little deep and find $1 billion. He knows that Paraguay can find $1 billion. So there's a buy-in. So you don't just show up for there's going to be a great first meeting and there's going to be a big class picture. Well, you know what? Canada can't show up and friggin' freeload. And that's the buy-in. And so you know what? He knows goddamn well that he's standing there, the maligned guy, the orange man bad and all that. He's talking about a board of peace. People are saying F you to your board of peace. And he's like, no, you know what? F you. I'm starting a board of peace. And so I'm telling you, it's absolutely. And by the way, the Gaza thing, it was a stroke of genius. He talks about saying, okay, we have a stretch of rubble. There's bodies under rubble, and it's a 100-year war. Everybody just take 1 minute, dream with me for a minute. I'm seeing this slum turned into, Jesus Christ, gang. I see a seaside resort. I see the Miami of the Middle East. And people could not crucify this guy quick enough for daring to say, let's take this absolute, something everybody stipulates is a shithole of death, and let's turn it into a thriving, beautiful seafront. People can all participate. The Palestinians can work here. They can live here, just like people in Miami live and work in Miami. We will build this baby up, and people can come in vacation, and it'll be tolerant, religiously tolerant. Whether or not that could ever come together, he was shot down for just having a unique idea to transform a shithole into a resort.
Because part of the reason for the pushback was the West Bank and that area through there is one of the most highly densely populated areas on the planet.
You ever been to
On the
Miami?
planet. Okay. Oh, many times. More
And
than
also,
you
Hamas
have.
Hamas said no.
And
Yeah.
so, what are you going to do with the other millions of people when you create your seaside resort? And so
Well,
that's,
I mean,
I mean, there's a
it
reality to
was,
this too.
but it was knocked out of hand from a bunch of people who've never had an original goddamn idea themselves, including, by the way, where are the people with all these old state ideas? When are they? And granted, I might be out over my skis on this, but I know there is some rationale to the whole idea of where are the Arab nations when it comes to the Palestinians? Where are the rest of
Oh,
their people? What the why in the hell does it?
they're nowhere. They've never been anywhere. They don't want them. Right.
Egypt shut down the damn border when all this stuff was going down, wouldn't let
I
them
know.
come across. And so,
I
no,
know.
I agree with that. And don't forget, you asked me because it was a couple of days ago. Hey, Brian, give me two things that Donald
Yeah.
Trump has done. Okay, that that you appreciate. And that was the second one, what he's done in the Middle
Yep.
East.
Yep.
But it was a harebrained idea to turn it into a resort. There's real issues there. There's people starving. As you said, there's people buried still. I'm no doubt under the
Yep.
rubble.
No
Okay,
doubt.
and it's a humanitarian disaster. So it's really hard for people, from my perspective, to sell something like that when you got bodies buried up under the rubble in one of the most densely populated areas on the planet, because somebody's going to have to take the people, and it's
Yeah.
obviously not going to be Egypt. It's obviously not going to be Saudi Arabia. It's not
Right.
obviously not going to be Jordan. It's obviously not going to be anybody, and it sure as hell isn't going to be Israel. And
Right.
so,
Billy, what? Billy, you look like you're itching.
Yeah,
uh,
it's
uh,
just a different way to look at it. I mean, it's a different way to look at it. I mean, first of all, the bodies under the rubble, a lot of them are Hamas soldiers, and I'm glad they're under the rubble.
yeah,
Just
Boom.
give it to you straight. I'm glad they're under the rubble.
yeah.
Well
They're
said.
terrorists. They're
Yep.
murderers. You look
Yep.
at the rocket counts into Israel every year for the last 30 years. It's ridiculous. And so there's that. But I think what Trump did there was it was so foreign to the way people were thinking about the Middle East that it opens up conversations. I mean,
That's kind of my point.
it's a huge stretch of land. It's not gonna, it wouldn't be all a resort. Maybe that never happens. But I think what he was saying to the international community was, let's all invest in this area. Let's create a decent place to live for the Palestinians in Gaza, and let's get some commerce in there so that they can thrive. Hamas does not want that. Hamas
No,
wants poverty. They want rage. They want hatred.
And the rest of
Um,
the West is going to be happy with Quonset huts and and pallets sitting
UN
out in the
tents,
sun. UN
right?
tents. They're going to be happy with that. And Trump's like, no, you know what? You know how I got here? Ideas. And that's what annoyed me was that as soon as he had this one idea, people are talking about it like it was the dumbest, stupidest thing. You know what's dumb and stupid is that the definition of insanity, which is what produces, bring out the bulldozers, clear it out, put up the Quonset huts, the UN tents, let them blow each other up in another 6 years. We'll be right back where we were.
Right, and then have a refugee camp there for 15 years.
God forbid. God forbid
Yeah,
somebody goes, what about a resort? I don't know. You can always shoot it down, but don't crucify the guy for coming up with, what starts off as a dumb idea could lead to something that might be able to pull off.
right, and say you did, because you're right there on the sea. You could have a resort area that would help fund the rest of it. You start to drive commerce, get stuff going there.
But the
well,
Maybe
border,
it
yeah,
never happens, but at least it's something fresh. It's fresh thinking.
yeah,
It's a little bit. It's out of the box. He could guilt nations into it. I wish he hadn't expanded it. I wish it was just for Gaza, because I thought
yeah,
that
yeah,
would
yeah.
have
Oh,
been
the
a
board.
wonderful thing.
Yes. That's what
Yeah,
I thought it was. I thought that was brilliant. The board of peace. And I like, great. You know what? If you got to find a role for Tony Blair, let him. You know what I mean? Let him do that. Let him do that.
yeah, perfect. Yeah.
But it sounded good for guys. Now it's like a bigger. I'm with you on that too. I thought it was cool just for this one thing alone.
Yeah.
TJ, yesterday, or I believe it was yesterday, Donald Trump came out and he said that to the effect, and I'll hopefully put the tweet up here so everybody can see it, that NATO has not effectively not done anything for the United States. Maybe we should
Mm.
have declared Article 5 and put the NATO soldiers on our southern border.
Hyperbole, a big statement. Reel it back, reel it back, reel it back. The NATO nations only what was it? What would let's see what was UK was it like 2%? Now they're at like they're
Five.
kicking
Yeah.
in. Now
They're
they're at like
higher.
five and a
Yeah.
half, something like that. You
Germany
know,
too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Germany, France, they're kicking in more as they should be. I mean, it's their backyard that I mean, clearly that's the idea. You know what I found. So anyway, I think that's not too much of a leap from his usual position on NATO. I think he's also kind of trying to bolster his position on Greenland vis-a-vis NATO and building a great, gorgeous golden dome. And personally, I think where he really screwed up in the last 24 hours was he took a shot at the British military.
Yeah.
Another one of his, this was not a tweet or a missive from him or a Truth Social. He was asked by, I forget what news outlet, but he was on Air Force One, I think. But it was sometime after Davos. And he was asked about Afghanistan and Britain saying this and saying that and not being, and he, for some reason, I forget the context, but what he said was that, well, yes, the British were there in Afghanistan, but they were kind of back off the line.
Yeah.
They didn't really participate. They weren't really quite as involved. They lost like 575 soldiers in the time in Afghanistan. That was egregious. He has not even hinted that he's going to walk that back. He has been skewered by usual allies like Keir Starmer. Well, Keir Starmer has always tiptoed around Trump. Didn't tiptoe today. He crucified him. Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservative Party in the UK, she crucified him. I'd be curious to see if Nigel Farage took a shot.
Mm, mm.
Billy,
Well,
what you were saying that like that's the antithesis of a British soldier.
Well, totally. I mean, the British soldiers are obviously badass. They always have been. I got a story from years ago. I was at a very, very fancy dinner in New York. I was single at the time, and I think they needed an extra man that wouldn't start screaming and cursing and getting too drunk. So I went, and it was a lot of British aristocrats, and a lot of them were
Oh,
wearing their military garb. And I sat next to one of them. He was in the Coldstream Guard, and I said, that's wonderful. I said, we've lost that in our country, like with the Vietnam War and a little bit in Korea as well, where the affluent just don't go and fight. It's the poor kids that go and fight.
mm,
And I think it's a real problem in the country. And I said, I love that your aristocracy fights. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said, my family's been in the Coldstream Guard for 1,000 years. And all
gee.
my friends, it's like, between the Scots Guard, the rest of the Black Watches,
Wow.
like they're like, this is our family tradition. We would die before we didn't serve in the military,
wow.
and a lot of them, they go out there and they get killed sometimes.
It's their Notre Dame.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I mean, they are tough sons of bitches, and they held the world together. We always claim credit for the end of for finishing World War II. The Russians obviously get a lot of credit as well,
Yeah.
but the Brits held up the lamp of liberty for two, three lonely years. And
Yeah. My
you, you,
wife's my wife's
they
grandfather.
should not be, and I say this as an Irishman, they should not be insulted. Those are
Yeah.
wonderful soldiers, and no.
My wife's grandfather, who I had the honor to meet well before he passed away, is a fellow named George Maine, and he was in the Yorkshire Regiment from out of Liverpool. He was a Chindit, as they're known, Chindit. They were the forebears of the special services. He fought in Burma, in the jungle
Mm.
in Burma, to keep the Japanese at bay from getting into India. And yeah, he basically, yeah, he sat on a dead guy for like a week trying to not be
Mm,
detected by the Japanese. Yeah, a guy before they invented secret, secret services, he was building it as they flew it. It was great. The Bridge on the River Kwai, that was
wow.
Andrea's grandfather. Yeah, so that
Wow,
British
wow, wow.
tradition is insane.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's incredible.
So we're wrapping it up here. We've had a nice meeting. Hopefully everybody's got an opportunity to learn a little bit more about us. We're going to chat about Bill and Sophia this next week, and you got to pull that tighter. Maybe you're wearing the jacket backwards. If you
Now I
flip it
look
around-
ridiculous.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
it's completely reversible.
Ah,
So everybody, thank you for joining us this evening. This next week, we hope to get some economists on to talk about the real threat of the United States losing her reserve currency status. It should be something that everybody's concerned about, especially with some of the economic news that's come out and with some of the housing problems and so forth. So please subscribe to our channel. It
Yes.
doesn't cost you a penny. There's no sign-up fees. There's no hidden costs. It's literally free, but we're going to keep giving you
Fashion advice.
We're fashion advice, and we're going to keep giving you a lot of good content here, both on the politically and on some other shows that are not political. Okay, that are part of our network here. So
What's
I think
cooking with that?
one-
What's cooking with that?
one will be rolling out next week, I think, right, Brian?
What do you cook? Actually, real quick, real fast. Cook just possible. What might happen on our media group?
we have at the moment four other shows that are slated. One of the shows is a discussion of poly markets. It's I hate to call it too much betting, but it's probabilities, the probability market of things happening. So for anybody that follows
with
any
the world's leading expert on it, with the
world's leading expert. And so anybody that follows that, and I guarantee you that that is growing and growing exponentially.
That's
so
nuts.
we'll have a show on that. We're going to have another show that's going to be much more of a conservative format of discussing some of the difficulties with the country. It is going to be political, but I'll call it. It's not going to be raw like ours. It's going to have. Well, I hate to call it a 60 minutes format, but it's going to be a much more intellectual discussions, okay,
Cool.
of folks that know what they're talking about in politics.
You're out, TJ.
I will not be. I'm
Yeah.
not on that show.
Yeah, they didn't invite me either.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have another one that's a sports show. It's going to be called Football, Family, and Faith. It's going to be run by professional NFL, previous professional NFL athletes. It's going to be a combination of sports and talking about family and faith, and that's going to be another wonderful program. We've just got a lot of really good stuff that's coming. And lastly, we've got the next one that will be coming is going to be talking about the changes in technology and where we're at right now, not just as a country, but as a planet. Are we on the brink of destroying ourselves, or are we on the brink of something that's just absolutely amazing? That will change everybody's lives forever. And so we're gonna we'll mention those and we'll promote those. Please follow the channel. You'll see those. We've got the promos up. Please follow what we're doing here and subscribe to our channel. We're gonna have some fun. Thanks, everybody. Any last words, Bill? Y'all good? Okay. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and we will see you this next Friday. The No Bull Political Arena is on all major social media platforms. Make sure to give us and your host a follow.
Hey everybody, this is Sophia Nelson. Follow me at I am Sophia Nelson on every one of my social media platforms.
I'm Bill O'Reilly, and you can reach me at Twitter at WFBOR.
Hey, this is TJ. Follow me on X or Twitter at TJ McCormack.
This is Brian Mistro, and you can follow me on X at Brian_Mistro or follow along on Facebook at Brian.Mistro.
A No Bull Media Group member.